Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I'm back. It's Alyssa. Today you're gonna be learning some stuff about me and some stuff I go through. Um, it'll all make sense. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so I'm gonna have some notes in front of me because I have a lot to say and I want to be able to get everything clear. Sometimes I have a lot to say. I need some notes so I can get into details of things so I don't miss anything. It'll all make sense once you see everything. Okay, so I get supported by a program for people with disabilities. I get supported where needed, but independent. I live in Napa, California. I moved to Napa in 2013. I have always wanted to live in California, but I did not end up there on my own. Because of my parents, I've been through, and it'll all make sense as I go through the list of things. But I've been through programs like Massachusetts, Connecticut, Chicago. Oh, I misspelled that, but that's okay. I know what that is. To California. Yeah, and my parents never take responsibility. It's always my fault. Uh, and I'm gonna do my best to have no names. I'm not gonna say any first names or any names, but if there's names, if you hear some names, it's people that I don't work with anymore. That I don't like. They're from a different program. So, yeah. I don't think it'll be helpful to say any names. I'm just venting here. You're just gonna learn some stuff. Anyway, and then in California, I went from moving forward to community connections, and now I'm in a bright future. It's a new program that is hiring. So if you're in Napa and you want to work with people with disabilities, they're hiring. Anyway, so uh, so north, so so programs like a bright future. Uh, well, North Bay Regional Center, they're like the boss of any program like a bright future or any programs that help people with disabilities. The North Bay is in charge of like making sure I'm getting supported, I'm getting everything I need, all the support I need, what I get able to be independent, whatever. Like they're like a second. They're supposed to be like a second family, and they're supposed to advocate stuff like that. Same with the bright future. Er, um, Same with the bright future. Uh, and that's the actual program. Um, so the staff are supposed to be like a support system. I have what I have is I have maybe one or two staff members that come during the day, and then my staff has a supervisor, and then North Bay is like the boss. They're in charge of my staff supervisor in the program. And I have one North Bay Regional Center support staff, support coordinator, and she even has a boss. And anyway, but the issue is North Bay. Oh, these programs, they say they're supposed to do all this and that, which they are. but they don't actually do it. They don't actually do it. Okay, that's just random. All right. Anyway, they don't actually do it. They don't, and you'll hear all about that later on. But please watch the whole video before judging and more. And my parents are my payee. I'm not conserved. Anyway, this is how it all starts up. My parents like to control everything. That's the issue. And they get not so nice about it and very annoying. It all starts up. I was in a doctor's appointment one day, and you know how at any appointment, no matter, well, anyway, at any appointment, my parents like to force me to put them on speakerphone, which is weird, I know. Anyway, they made me put my parents forced me to put them on speakerphone. And my doctor, what she did is, I don't think she knew my parents were gonna do this, but you know how a doctor, like at the end of an appointment, just does a generic advice like, "You're healthy, that's good. Just keep up with being careful on what you eat. Also exercise when you can, but it's your choice on what you do." I don't think she knew that was going to trigger my parents to go and. This is how it all starts. Every program, this is how it all starts. One doctor saying just something they're supposed to say. Hey, it's just generic advice they give to everyone. But okay. uh, Triggered them, and this is what we get. Let's start with their obsession over my weight loss and etc. and their favorite punishments. Yes, I'm 31, not conserved, and yes, they still like to control and punish me like a kid. And this is where it gets really interesting. Now, I have nothing against losing weight. I just want to make a point in that. I like healthy food when I can afford it. I used to love Panera Bread when I could go there. But the way they go about things makes me not want to do anything. And they also only let me have a certain amount of money, so I have to get their permission on everything if I want to buy something. So they'll give me the extra money if they will allow me to have it, which is okay. Here's how grocery shopping routines went between 2016 and 2017. How it worked was my staff had to put the head of community connections. I'm not in community connections anymore, so that's why, and there was no other way to say this. Royce, the head of community connections. There's not much anyone could do about my parents. Anyway, Royce and my parents and staff on a three-way call so my parents could accept everything on the list. I kid you not. It took longer to make the list than it did to do the actual shopping. And that was also a time when if they did not get their way, if they weren't happy, they would punish me because they were paying my Comcast at that time. And they signed me up for Comcast. So that was a time when, actually they still do, but they don't. I'll get that later. Uh, uh, that was also a time when they did not get their way. If they weren't happy with something, they would punish me by calling me up, complain to the head of the program, and then complain to North Bay. Call me up, yell at me, then complain to the Royce, and then complain to North Bay. Then they would turn off my. I kid you not, they would turn off my Wi-Fi for as long as they want. And as I explained, North Bay is the boss of all the programs. That's also when I was still allowed to do Wednesday dinner. Now, in Community Connections, Wednesday dinner is when a bunch of people from the program got a. One person from the program picked one fast food restaurant or inexpensive sit down place, and everyone that wanted to go would meet up at that one restaurant, so you'd get to see other people from Community Connections, and and um and you'd have dinner with everybody at the restaurant. Uh, that's basically how it went. But my parents liked to try to control that too. Like I could only get certain things on the menu, certain amount of things. They wanted to micromanage what I did. And okay. Hey, um, st- uh, got a bit annoying for my staff, but yeah. Um, so mid 2017 and start of 2018, uh, staff had to make a list with me before going shopping. My parents and Roy still on the phone with three-way call and to accept everything on the list because my parents just have to control everything. So that's when I decided to get HelloFresh, which is to make the list easier. HelloFresh is one of those meal kits where they pretty much send you everything you need, uh, but except for the basics like salt, pepper, like or basic ingredients you would already automatically have in your kitchen. Uh, which is pretty good, and you can have up to um um I think during that time it was probably 6 meals for 2 people. Oh, two people, three at the most. I don't know if it changed. I haven't had HelloFresh in a while. Uh, and and then they still did the Wi-Fi punishment and complaining to everybody if nothing went their way. That was so annoying. And then Wednesday dinner turned into Friday dinner when they decided they couldn't control what I did for Wednesday dinner uh, through like whatever. Um, I ended up starting. My parents only let me go out to dinner on Fridays without the groups because it was Wednesday dinner. Oh, and once a month, Wednesday dinner was uh, at a pizza place, and they would once a month celebrate everyone's birthday for that month. Um. Anyway, so I went. So no more Wednesday dinner when they decided they couldn't control anything because they also wanted to control what I eat. So they mostly chose like junk food and like fast food places and like stuff that's like really like whatever. And my parents didn't like that. And they also wanted to be able to control everything. So yeah, there we go. So it turned into Friday dinner. I could only go to Panera Bread. I could only have certain amount of things certain things on the menu. No dessert. Um, the staff uh had to had to control how many butters I got for my baguette. Uh, and I th- that was and also I was not, according to my parents, I was also not allowed to check my phone or anything or go on my devices with staff. So if I did anything against like whatever, staff were required to call up Royce, and then or my parents, technically both, and then my parents would do the Wi-Fi punishment. So annoying. Uh, and not normal, but okay. That's my parents for you. Um, Mid 2018 and 19, when I was able to use HelloFresh once set up. Oh yeah, this was annoying. Okay, my parents called the customer service line. And just to let you know, I'm not conserved. Just a reminder, I'm not conserved. So they're just my payee and very annoying. Okay, called the customer service line and told them all the requirements they have of me. When my parents got off the phone, I apologized to the girl on the other line that had to listen to all that. And to tell them, like, you do you, it's fine. I just have crazy parents, please don't listen to them. I can't believe I had to apologize. What a handful my parents are. Okay. So I had to apologize for my parents' annoying behavior, basically. Okay. They had no idea what she was talking about. They had no idea what my parents were talking about. Um, I told them they didn't have to change anything. I just have helicopter parents that are very annoying and weird. Uh, don't listen to them. Uh, oh, and that was also the time I was not allowed to hold my debit card and make a grocery list. They still did the Wi-Fi punishment. Uh, and and okay, and this was also a time when um they like to control when I go on my tech and stuff. So if I went on during a time uh during a time when my parents didn't want me on my tech, staff were required to call my parents and tell them I was on my tech so they could turn off my Wi-Fi for as long as they want. I can't with them. I really can't. And and then um in 2018 and mid 2018, that's when they also decided, because they couldn't control towards like 2019, closer, uh that's when they decided if because Royce got tired of like telling me if I go on my tech during dinner and stuff and all that crazy stuff. So they decided no more dinner outs for me because Royce said no to the silly requirements. I can't. Okay. As you can see, they're quite a handful. And then at some point, like towards the beginning of 2019, they put a timer on my internet, so it went off during times they didn't want me on my internet and stuff, and my tech and whatnot. Because most of my stuff like only works when there's like Wi-Fi and all that. Okay, mid 2019 and 2020, I could shop, but still micromanaged in other ways. I got my debit card back. There was a time when they had staff hold on to my debit card. The only time I saw it was going to the bank for an allowance when I was allowed to have an allowance, and whatnot. And if I got permission from my parents to buy something online. But the whole time I had my debit card, staff were with me so they could take it. That's the only time I was allowed that. They just like to have control. But I got my debit card back 2019 mid and 2020. That's 2019 is when I got my debit card back. Mid 2019 actually, mid 2019. And they stopped the Wi-Fi punishments and no timer on the internet. They took the timer off, thankfully. Mid 2020 and 2021, still in CC, community connections. There's not much people can do about my parents, so that's probably why people don't do much or don't try much. They're difficult. I can make a list, but this is when everyone was in lockdown and I was using Instacart and stuff like that. But my parents decided they wanted to control that too. So, my parents decided they wouldn't let me do Instacart or anything like Instacart or DoorDash. So if I so they decided, like, from where they are, to send everything I need from their Instacart. So how it did is I would make a list. I had to send it to my dad. My dad had to accept and my mom agrees with everything, and my mom and dad are like a team, like the yeah. So if my dad wants things a certain way, he comes up with the ways with my mom, so they're like a team. So anyway, so I make a list, and then my dad just does whatever he wants with it. They shop like they're shopping for themselves. They don't get anything I want. They see what I want, but they don't care what I want. They just want to control everything. So they get like anything they would eat and just expect me to eat it, which I would because I didn't have any other choice. And yeah, that's how mid 2020 2021, that's how that went. And then it eventually turned into, like, every time I made a list, my dad would make a big deal out of it and try to force me to make a list the way he likes it, with food him and my mom like, because I don't know. They even like to control the amount and how much I get and stuff like that. I explained to them they're gonna do what they want anyway with the list, so it doesn't matter what I do with the list and how I make it. You're gonna do what you want anyway. I'm just making you a list so you can see what I want, even though it's pointless. And they still made a big deal out of it. Okay, that's my parents for you. But yeah, that went on for a while, and then eventually they got tired of that and then gave me the shopping back again. And but only give me a certain amount of money for groceries, not enough for California. But you know, that's my parents. When they don't get their way, their favorite punishments, as you know, is the Wi-Fi punishment. Uh, at, there was also a time I'm I was yeah. Remember, I explained all the Wi-Fi punishment stuff. Like staff were required to tell my parents so they could turn my Wi-Fi off if I went on my devices when they didn't want me to, and then there was a timer, but all that's done with a long time ago. Okay, and this one's a weird one, but you can't make this stuff up, I swear. When I needed a new phone, my parents made a rule where I could only have my apps, my Wi-Fi, and etc. on my iPad and laptop. When I needed a new iPad, it switched from the phone and laptop. When I needed a new laptop, the social and etc. For a while switched to just phone and iPad. But when it came to the laptop, they decided they did not want me to have a laptop. So they got me a PC and also put this parental program. I told them not to because I looked into it more than they did. And they saw it gave them control, and that's good enough for them. When when Royce was at uh, good enough for them. Uh, so what it did, so what it did is, so what it did is, when Royce was able to eventually get them to turn it off, because all they saw was it gave them control, and that's all they cared about. But when she was able to get them to turn it off eventually, and able to get them to like whatever, it turned itself on, turned into its own virus, and locked me out of my own computer. And my dad, from his end, had to. I don't know how he did this. I'm not tech savvy. I really don't want to know. That's kind of scary. But he went into my computer from wherever he is, and and had to delete the program from his end. The had to delete the parental program off completely. Um, they will also make promises and not keep them, so they get their way. Like if you lose this much weight, we will pay for, because they know I want voice and acting lessons because I'm interested in all that. So what they'll do is uh so what they'll do is uh they're not supportive of all that because they don't think there's entertainers in the business with a disability. But what they'll do, and they know I want it, so it's like another control thing. But but anyway, um, so they will do is like if you lose this much weight or if you do this, you do that, you'll get this. They do it for a while and then take it away for no reason. Um, they just want to make me into what they want and control me, not caring how it affects me. I don't care if I become an entertainer or whatever. I don't care. Um, I just, I just like music and all that, and I just want the lessons. I just enjoy it. If something happens, great. If not, whatever. Um, I could have gone to the local college, and and my parents would have let me gone. Um, but on the terms that I took classes they wanted, which is fine. That's totally fine. I was okay with that. But the classes they wanted me to take required those starter classes. I forget what the word is for them. But because they didn't want to pay for the starter classes that for the main class that they wanted me to take, that meant no college for me, so no acting and singing lessons for me, because they didn't want to pay for the other classes that they wanted me to take, that I was willing to take to get the singing and acting lessons. That's my parents for you. When my parents found out I had an Etsy, when my parents found out that I have an Etsy, they decided to take control over that and put limits on what I can sell on there. So they'll only let me do paint by numbers. They'll only let me do paint by numbers and sell. So like I paint the more complicated paint by numbers, and then I sell I sell the finished painted. They're actually more complicated. And you may think. I don't know if you can see all that. Lots of detail. Lots of small spaces. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so I could only do those. And if I were to try to do anything other just to put more variety, my parents would go nuts. And when they found out I got a second bank account just for my Etsy, but I turned it into my main to protect my money, because they like to only keep a certain. So if I got a paycheck or something, they like to take some of the money just so I'm always dependent on. So anyway, they went nuts. It was mainly just for my Etsy, but I turned it to my main for obvious reasons. The reasons I already mentioned. Anyway, they tried to force me to get rid of the second bank account, but when that didn't work, they forced me to give them view and access. They couldn't do anything with it, but just look what's in there, stuff, and go nuts if they didn't approve of anything. That's my parents for you. Okay, so for my birthday, I used to be able to do something nice, like go out to dinner and a movie or something nice, and then and have cake and treats and sweets and stuff like any other normal person would do on their birthday. And then open presents on FaceTime, because my parents are all the way in Massachusetts, so it's kind of hard for them to. Anyway, but because they decided they couldn't control what I ate and all that and what I could have, the only thing that's unusual, or not unusual, like is normal for a birthday is the birthday presents they mail to me that I can open on my birthday. But otherwise, it's just another day for me. And for Halloween, I used to be allowed to get a bunch of candy enough for there's leftovers. I would give out the candy and have the leftovers and have treats and stuff, and whatnot. But then and have a costume. But then my parents decided to stop that too, because they didn't want me to have the candy or anything and all that. So the only thing I could do is on Halloween was watch scary movies on Netflix and stuff. That's the only thing. They could give me more money if they wanted to. They just don't want to. My parents only let me keep my account between the 100s and 200s. I used to get every week between 245 or 345 because I used to pay for half of my Comcast. Uh, I did used to pay for half of it. Um, and but they stopped that after a while, so they took over the. Anyway, so to and it was also to give me a fair allowance, my laundry, and whatever else I need. Uh, as long as they had full control. Eventually, they stopped giving me all I need, took over 98% of the payments, and only give me 50 for groceries, but no laundry money. Oh, don't worry, I do my laundry. I just don't use the whole 50. I when I go grocery shopping, I only do 38. So not much food and all that. Uh, the rest of it goes to laundry. Um, that's what I'm uh end up having to do now because my parents refuse to give me my laundry money, so I have to use half of my grocery money for laundry. So anyway, no allowance and no nothing else. It's just the control thing. It's so annoying. Um, but they can give me more if they want. They just don't want to because control, control, control. Um, so here's what they have bought in the past. Before you say something, I know it's their money and they can do what they want, but it's the fact that what they do with their money, it won't do for their own daughter to help, knowing they can. Okay, so one time when they got a new washer and dryer for laundry for their house, and the machines needed an outdoor propane tank, and and my dad did not know how to install the tank and wanted to put in a fence around it that was not unneeded. He did not know how to do that as well, but he's too stubborn to hire someone. He bought an excavator, one of those digger things that you see in construction. Um and the and he ruined a small part of the yard and had to hire someone to fix it properly and install everything properly. He still owns the excavator. It's sitting in the back of the driveway. They doing nothing. He used it once. That do you know how much the excavator cost? 21,600 $21,635,000. 21 comma 635 dot dollar 00. I think that's thousand. I don't know. uh, correct me if I'm wrong. That's fine. Sorry if I read that wrong. When he was into welding, my dad bought everything for that. Took one class and never used any of it again. And the welding stuff is in the basement doing nothing. He also has a bow and arrow collection, a gun collection he does nothing with in the basement. He bought two BMWs, one for him, other for my mom. He has a Subaru car, a Ford truck that is by the excavator doing nothing. His BMW is in the garage doing nothing. He uses his Subaru car though. He does a lot of cooking, and so he buys stuff to cook with. My mom likes to do craft fairs, buy stuff there, and go to craft stores and buy stuff to do art. My mom likes to cook and bake, so she'll do stuff for that. Um, and they're like a team, as I said. They're Oh, and when they get mad at me and don't get their way, they cuss me out and make threats. I will write, but be censored. I'm not going to say anything out loud because of the content, but you could fill in the blanks. I want to be careful with my words. Uh, uh, if you don't do what we say or do what we want, we will cut you off, take you out of California, and you will live in in out in wrong word in our basement under our full control. Uh, that one was the tame one. Alyssa, we know what you did. Do you want us to cut you off? Take your apartment. You can live on the streets, and for all I care, I don't think we. For all I care, don't think we won't do it. We are in charge, not you. You are just an ungrateful, dependent leech that takes advantage of kindness, only cares about you, no one else. Those are just a few of the tame outbursts, anyway. I can't easily get a regular job because my parents know how to figure out where I work and try to call all the time and try to micromanage me through the boss. The boss will put up with it for a while because they know it's a unique situation and they like me but not my parents. But eventually I get fired because my boss can only deal with so much. I don't blame them. It's hard enough for me to get a job because when someone hears disability, it's a turnoff. Here's an example. When I was working at McDonald's, they were going to put me working in the food sections to make food. My parents called up and told my boss, "Don't put her on the food because she might want to buy the meals myself for meal breaks." My parents literally did that. Like, can you imagine? They were okay with me cleaning the lobby eating area. When I was going to be put on the cash register, this was the last straw for my boss. When I got fired, my parents found out and said, "Don't put her on the register. She doesn't know how to count money." I swear, I really can't. I really can't. One time when I was still in community connections. I had just gotten back from a long Christmas vacation, and when I travel, my parents stop my weekly allowance from going into my account. Um, so I have to battle with them to have enough money for going there and back when it's time for me to go back. And because when I get back, I've had to throw out a bunch of perishables. Uh, so so it's a bigger shopping trip than usual, and my parents did not want to give me enough money to restock. Luckily, Jackie, who I pet sit for sometimes, um, needed me for the whole week and weekend. Um, uh, so I got some extra money from there. Um, and because if she didn't need me for pet sitting, um, I would have gone like half a weekend and whole week without any with only what's left over from the airport and whatever junky non-perishable stuff. Uh, that is how crazy they are about control. It's like insane. Some one they got so like crazy. I tried one time contacting the Dr. Phil show. They did answer, but it didn't work out because my parents were not willing to participate, and it has to be both ways. They have to be willing to participate. So it didn't work out. Oh well. I've had many issues with the apartment, like plumbing, which I'll explain later on. And that's like a last thing. Uh, and if my staff try to advocate my my for more than a band-aid fix, my dad will go nuts. And my parents go so far with their control stuff, it causes tension between everyone to the point where I have to really work to get support and etc. And people say things they don't mean, and because no one wants to do what my parents want them to do, because I'm like in my 30s. Like, I'm an adult. No one wants to treat an adult like a child. But okay. Royce had community connection still. Had trouble hiring trained staff for me because my parents, no one could have the patience. So she had to hire, like, she was hiring for like a regular store that does not have any requirements, like a clothing store or something. Like, I've had some interesting staff in the past. I don't remember all the names, but I'm not going to say any names because the past is the past. Anyway, um, one staff liked to sit and have the food channel on the whole time and turn one of her notebooks into a cookbook. Um, Another liked to fall asleep, take a lot of smoke breaks, uh, and ask if I had snacks she could have. Another complained about smells that were not there. One time, she would not take me grocery shopping because of a make-believe smell. No, the staff I had before my parents decided I couldn't go shopping. Anyway, one of my supervisors, one staff, I did not, I did, one of my supervisors and one staff I did not know had to come and say I did not smell. But she held her ground, so the supervisor had me ride in the car with the other staff while my staff followed in her car there and back. I had a meeting uh and this was when I was looking into the college. I had a meeting with the head of the person in charge of the singing and acting department at the college, but parking was $3 and my budget still tight. I did not have cash on me. So Royce took $3 out of an account she uses for everyone and that are going somewhere needed cash, does not have cash, and this I didn't have to pay her back. This was a just like in like one of those accounts. Anyway, and I had another supervisor drop it off. I didn't have to pay it back because it was like one of those accounts that's like. Anyway, I said thank you, but the day after, my staff started nagging me to do more than just say thank you. She said I needed. Thank you. She said I need to use my debit card and get a card, a little gift bag, chocolates, and $3 in cash and give it to the supervisor that gave me $3. My staff made me use my debit card, and the supervisor felt awkward because it was not necessary. It's just $3. But okay, okay. Another staff was nice in some ways, but really sensitive and got upset easy. And when he got upset, he did not act his age. It's okay to be sensitive, but act your age. When someone talked about a topic he did not like, he would go, la la la, I can't hear you. I'm not going to talk about this, and have his ears plugged and complain about why he did not want to talk about it and be stubborn. It's okay to not want to talk about something and be uncomfortable. Just say, I don't want to talk about this. I'm uncomfortable. Move on. Okay. Anyway, another staff would like to borrow my stuff, forget to return unless Royce reminded her. She also liked to keep track of her boyfriend. She thought he was always cheating. One time, she even took me on a wild goose chase looking for him because she wanted to try catching him if she could, uh, uh, if he was cheating. Note, he is a repairman, so going house to house or building to building was part of his job. Oh, I feel bad for that, but I felt bad for that boyfriend. What a nightmare. Who needs a reality show when you're living in one? Who needs, you know what I mean? Anyway, then one time, then there was one that to start with he was friendly. He was friendly but not friendly. Just kind of like uh uh in between the two. He started okay, but he mostly liked to just like sit in a corner and not be social and just do his thing. Uh, so that didn't work out. Um, I also had a staff who made the mistake of befriending my parents and listen to them, which encourages them to get worse. And she would tell them everything, which makes them worse. And when I got to a bright future, the one of the first staff they gave me, it didn't go well with her. That's fresh because I'm in a bright future, and yeah. So I'll just say, hey, I'm not gonna say any names. The past is the past. I have a good staff now. Now it just took a while because and the supervisor of my staff doesn't want to deal with my parents anymore, so I'll explain that later. Um, but anything I need, he just makes excuses and tries to avoid everything. Um, the whole situation is just like crazy. Anyway, the new staff I have wants to help me more and wants to be involved and wants to help me with my parents, and I'll explain there later on too. But I have a good staff now. Anyway, so this first staff, what she did is I didn't care if she kept food in my fridge. That's fine. But what she would do is she would get a whole 3 weeks of food and keep packing and keep packing my fridge. Forget food. What food is hers? Accidentally eat my food because she would sit and eat all day and play on her devices. She didn't want to and talk on the phone. She didn't want to with her friends and stuff, and just do her thing. She didn't want to do any work, uh, and she didn't want to replace food of mine that she ate. Um, and she would have an attitude, and if anyone told her to do any work, uh, she would make a big fuss over it. It would take a while to get her to do it, and then the first time that someone tried to the supervisor tried to get her to do some work, she made a fuss over it and decided not to come in the next day and not tell anyone. And my supervisor was looking for her all day that day. And she kept saying she'll be there. She's running late. This and that. But and also uh and then that's when she decided she would come in when she wants, leave when she wants. No one would ever know when she was coming and going. And still refused to do work. It took like months for the supervisor, I'm not going to say his name, um, would give me someone else. And I'm not going to say the new staff's name because, yeah, because I don't think saying names will help anyone. But yeah, so but the new staff, she wants to help me with my parents. She wants to help me with what I need help with. She wants to actually be a good staff. Okay, so now North Bay. Here's North Bay, who's supposed to help me with everything and help me with job stuff too. Oh, you're supposed to. And they'll say they'll do stuff, but they don't actually do it. They just say they will, just to avoid everything. Anyway, my North Bay helped me everything, helped me with job stuff and anything my program can't help me with. And they're like the bosses, as I explained. But what they do is they'll make excuses to avoid everything and just not do anything. They'll make excuses on why they supposedly can't do something to avoid helping, or just put me somewhere that does not help me or does not do any good for me, just so they can say they did something. Like one time they put me in this day program that paid me $1 an hour to sit and do nothing and play in my devices and whatnot. And they had like therapy and stuff like that. Not the type of therapy you're thinking of. This program, it's good that there's something out for the people I'm about to explain, but it wasn't good for me. It had people that were so handicapped they can't communicate, they can't do anything. They wouldn't be able to function in a regular job. But they get paid $1 an hour to do nothing. Anyway, it's good for people to have that if it's helping people that, but not good for me. I can communicate, I can function in a regular job. So that program was not helpful. When I got myself out of that program, my parents turned off my Wi-Fi, had a fit, yelled at me or whatever. They weren't gonna give me back my Wi-Fi, ever, actually. Royce had to trick them into giving me back my Wi-Fi and just keep it on by saying if you want her to get a job, she's gonna need Wi-Fi that doesn't turn off. So yeah. So anyway, and if by any miracle, if I get a staff that wants to help me with my parents and more, they put a gag order. Yeah, this is why my staff can't help me with my parents and all that. They put a gag order on my staff and restrictions on them, and they claim it's to keep the peace. And North Bay will say they will do stuff as I said. So my staff can't help me with much of anything, and my parents, because of North Bay and her supervisor, which agrees with North Bay. Anyway, yeah, that's North Bay for you. You know what? Programs like North Bay and all that, and A Bright Future, like the people that are getting paid to help and stuff, they shouldn't get paid unless they do what they're supposed to be doing. They should only get paid if they're actually being productive and actually help. And not do the things I just explained. And if they're not going to do what they're supposed to do, the job can go to someone else that actually wants to do it. But, Okay. Okay, and now for my apartment issues. Dirty sewage water, whether I'm using or not, the sink or the tub or anything. Sometimes will come up, uh, sometimes will come up on the tub or the sink and not drain for a while. Sometimes overflows, and sometimes I never know when it's gonna do it. Also, I never know when it's gonna do it. It affects my toilet. Dirty toilet water will come up out from the bottom of the toilet, and sometimes the kitchen sink is affected. Um, and the sewage water will come up. I have to keep the garbage disposal on for a sec. For however long it takes for it to fix. And sometimes it affects my washer, and not my washer, but the washer in the laundry room. One time, the light above the kitchen sink in the dome cover that covers the light bulb, there was a puddle of water in there. A puddle, I kid you not, there was a puddle of water. I'm lucky no water touched any wires. The plumbers the plumbers said to fix the plumbing because the pipes are so old and it's been going on for years. I'm lucky no water touched those wires. So what they have to do is replace all the pipes in the whole building. So they have to temporarily displace everybody, put them somewhere else temporarily, and so they can replace all the piping throughout the whole building. And because the owner of the building keeps saying no, the landlord company just keeps doing band-aid fixes because that's the only thing they're allowed to do. The one company that used to be in charge got tired of all the issues, so they sold it to a new company that now has to deal with the owner and the issues. There's only one washer and one dryer, and four units, and each unit has 2 bedrooms. 2-bedroom apartments, both on the second floor and first floor. The washer and dryer is old, and there's only one washer and one dryer. And they don't always work, and the tenants let friends and family do laundry as well. There's always someone using them. And yeah, and so when my staff, if I am lucky to have a staff that wants to advocate for more than just a band-aid fix, my dad will go nuts, threaten to take my apartment and stop paying rent, stuff like that, the usual. And he'll even try to. My parents will even try to tell staff not to advocate for more than a band-aid fix. I'm lucky that, as I said, I'm lucky no water has touched any wires. Remember, in the dome, I mentioned that there was a puddle of water in the light dome above the kitchen sink. Yeah, it becomes a super safety issue when that happens. My staff supervisor just because he doesn't want to deal with the backlash from my parents, he'll try to play it off, but it really isn't anything to play off. And he'll try to make it sound like it's not that bad, and like saying that that no one's gonna come and do anything unless something's actually happening. It's not that big of a safety issue. Yeah, it is. Here, you want to see what it looks like? Okay, so here's the washer. Here's the washer, for laundry. This is my washer. There, this is what it looks like, and that smells terrible. The day it happened, oh my god, it was so gross. Someone had, and when this happens, it takes like weeks for the landlord company. It takes them weeks for them to even call up and get someone to fix it. Um, let's see. Here's the sink. Can't even see the bottom of the sink. Here's the tub. Here's it starting to go up. Gross, huh? And it smells bad too. Both in the sink too. And here's it rising up more. Yeah. Gross, huh? So yeah, I deal with a lot. I wish there was someone out there that cared and wanted to help me and could, but I'm on my own, unfortunately. So I have a lot to deal with. And my staff can't do anything because she's gag order and everything. And her supervisor agreed, is like on North Bay side, so it's become like North Bay. So yeah, because everyone eventually gives up with and puts their hands up when it comes to my parents, and also no one wants to deal with anything. But that's my life. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to me and all that and letting me vent. If you all are watching from YouTube, uh, there are links to North Bay and A Bright Future if you want to write reviews. But please be civil. Please be civil. Uh, no drama. Please be civil. The links are in the description, but please be civil. And if you're watching on TikTok and you want to write reviews, but please be civil, you'll have to get to my YouTube video for the links. And it's the links are in the description in my YouTube video. So same with Instagram, and on Instagram and on TikTok, my you'll find the video in my link tree in my bio. So go to my bio. This is for Instagram and people watching on Instagram and TikTok. Go to my bio, go to my link tree. You could get to the video there to my YouTube video and get to the links from there, which will be in the description. Anyway, thank you for listening to me, and have a good day or night from wherever you're watching from. Bye.